先发疯，
不顾一切向前走，
拼一次富3代，
拼命才能不失败。
今天睡地板，
明天当老板。
This is the legendary northern Myanmar. But if you're unlucky enough to end up here, leaving becomes hard. Once you get the idea of escaping, they eat bread soaked in human blood, bow 3 times to the god of wealth, and chant Buddhist scriptures while doing all sorts of dirty, evil things. Yet such cruel tactics are just the usual control methods of fraud gangs. Just a few days ago, Pan Sheng was a famous cybersecurity expert and a top executive at a listed company. He was on the verge of a promotion, but then a new employee with family connections cut in line, and his dream of a promotion and raise vanished in an instant. Pan Sheng told his friend he was jumping ship to an overseas company. The salary they offered was great, and the conditions were all excellent. Pan Sheng dropped his work ID, left the meeting, and boarded a plane. Akai announced that their flight would have a layover and everyone could enjoy some entertainment. He then took out his phone to show them a show venue filled with countless beautiful women. After landing, Akai took the opportunity to collect everyone's passports, then led the group into a narrow alley. But what awaited them wasn't a crowd of stunning women instead. It was early man-wielding sticks. Pan Sheng, who just finished a call with his family, looked up to see his fellow travelers beaten to the ground. He instantly tried to run, but being in a foreign country, not knowing the place at all, he was quickly caught by Akai. A sack was thrown over his head, and when he opened his eyes again, he'd already been taken to the compound. Manager Lu took everyone to familiarize their work posts. The lowest level was called dog promoters, who were responsible for chatting online and luring customers into recharging and betting in games. Going up, there was the Hong Jiang group in charge of programming and building web pages, and the Tuojiang group maintaining network security. And the top floor, it's someone they know all too well.
美女荷官在线发牌，轮盘骰盅21点，斗牛、炸金花、龙虎斗，买家呢？只有你们想不到的，没有我们受不了的。
During Manager Lu's introduction, the others in the group actually started to feel tempted, but Pan Sheng insisted on going home. Once you set foot here, no one gets to back out. To fly under the radar, they even built their dormitories inside a local elementary school, spread out a mat on the floor, and that's their bed. As for those caught trying to escape, they're stuck living in cages. At this point, Pan Sheng still thought that since he lost contact with his family, they'd definitely call the police. But the man in the cage told him their passports were taken away early on, and they're blindfolded every time they enter or leave the compound. Even if the police were called, where would they even start investigating? Just as he was thinking this, Akai came over again. He pulled out his phone and threatened Pan Sheng to call his family and say he was saved. Then he dragged away the man for a brutal beating. Every day before starting work, Manager Lu would lead everyone in shouting brainwashing slogans. And Pan Sheng had no choice but to start at the bottom.
爬虫会不会？
Akai assigned tasks, but Pan Sheng looked on with disdain. Foreign cooperative employees like Pan Sheng, they had their own ways of dealing with them.
会不会？会不会？不会啊！会不会？说会不会？会不会？会不会？会不会？会不会？哎，他愿意做自然会做吗？你吓他、夸他，他也不一定做得好。你再说一遍，礼貌点。
潘先生，对不起，是我对。 请你呢，把那个列表上面所有的字幕组的资料全部都爬出来，然后把所有的 email copy 给我，可以吗？
Reluctantly, Pan Sheng feigned compliance. He took the materials and started working, but secretly left a distress signal on the packaging. Using a trip to the bathroom as an excuse, he climbed up to the windowsill, ready to throw the note outside. But Pan Sheng turned to find someone else in the bathroom. The woman snatched the note from him, yet had no intention of reporting him. They soon started talking about how they'd ended up there. The woman, Anna, had been a top model back in China. One date, though, she found her photos used without permission in pornographic ads. Her company fired her for damaging its reputation, and soon the entire industry shut her out. Pressed by financial strain, Anna took a friend's tip to shoot an ad at a hotel. But when she arrived, the people there handed her a skimpy lingerie dress, and the scenes being filmed were utterly indecent. Enraged, Anna bolted from the hotel, only to be verbally abused by them.
说什么呢你？
Watching Anna struggling to fend off their aggressive pestering, a woman claiming to be Anna's childhood friend stepped in to stop them. She paid the exorbitant penalty fee on Anna's behalf and took her to a fancy suite in the hotel and told her about her job as a hostess at a live-stream casino. Akai offered Anna an astronomical salary she couldn't refuse. For Anna, even top models back home could barely earn that kind of money in such a short time. Watching her childhood friend living in a luxury mansion and driving a fancy car, Anna could no longer contain her craving for money. She begged her friend to arrange for her to work abroad as soon as possible. Little did she know, she was walking straight into their trap. Even that aggressive agent from earlier was just an actor they'd hired. It was all to trick countless pretty women like her women short on cash into the compound, turning them into money-making tools. After having her passport taken away just like the others, Anna started her current job. She told Pan Sheng that only after helping them hit a 5 million performance target would she get her passport back and be allowed to leave.
我帮你完成业绩，你帮我出去报警好吗？
But before they could finish talking, Akai sensed something was wrong. Anna quickly lied, saying she was on her period, buying Pan Sheng some time to destroy the evidence. When Anna walked out of the bathroom, she expected a brutal beating, but to her surprise, Akai just handed her a pack of sanitary pads.
后面有监控，我演的，痛不痛啊？
But unexpectedly, the bathroom's water valve burst again. Akai rushed in, but no matter how hard he tried, the water wouldn't flush. Helpless, he had to bear disgust, fished out the paper slip, and stuffed it into his mouth. After a fruitless search, Akai was about to resort to torture to extract a confession. Fortunately, a underling outside hurried over to report that a big fish had logged on, allowing Pan Sheng to escape disaster. These are those gamblers who bet their entire life savings, even taking out multiple loans. But no one is born with a gambling addiction. That's why the dog promoters in the park take step by step to drag the hooked fish into the abyss. The beautiful dealers just need to sit in front of the camera and deal cards, while the dog promoters work by using beautiful women's avatars to chat with customers. No matter what your job is, or what age group you're in, there will always be a scam tailored just for you. This was also the case for Atian, a top student about to graduate. Atian secretly opened a gambling app behind his girlfriend's back. The immersive feeling made him try placing small bets. After several rounds, he kept winning small amounts of money. But the bookmakers aren't afraid of you winning, they're afraid of you stopping. This made him complacently think he was the chosen one at the gambling table. But the next night, he quickly lost all his savings.
为贷款方内幕消息，
Quickly, a loan message was sent to Atian. No collateral needed, no guarantee required, just an ID card to get a large sum of gambling funds, coupled with the so-called inside information.
我朋友在轮盘厅有内幕消息，包赢。
In another fleeting moment, he used the loaned money to recoup his losses once again. Atian quickly became obsessed with this feeling of money being easily attainable, and naturally looked down on his job that paid a monthly salary of 3,000. Just then, Anna sent another message. The most terrifying thing about a gambler is broken courage. Once they've played big, they can't even be bothered with the previous small-time games. Atian stepped by step towards larger bets. With the so-called inside information, Atian asked his company for an advance on his salary, sold his cherished sneakers, started promoting the registration of the software to his schoolmates to get high referral fees, and even made up an excuse to borrow a large sum of startup capital from his mother, pouring it all into the gambling games. On the other side, Pan Sheng and Anna saw their performance shoot to the top of the park. But Atian's dream soon collapsed. Loan collectors arrived, as he'd borrowed over $1 million from sharks in a month. When the collectors threw their live cat from a building, his parents saw the dire situation but couldn't pay on the spot. Atian was forced to donate blood more than once, in 3 places to get a reprieve. It was life extortion, not donation. Luckily, his parents scraped up money to redeem him from the hospital, but he was then forbidden from using a smartphone. Yet gamblers rarely quit easily. He sold his car, maxed out credit cards, then took his girlfriend to a bar, making her at on WeChat to bet hundreds of thousands of yuan at once. Luckily, he won back all losses plus interest in one game, but his girlfriend stayed sullen.
你骗我的吧？怎么可能没下注？嗯，
真的，我怕你又输了，我之前偷偷取消了。
From the first forbidden taste to squandering savings, borrowing everywhere, and fraudulently gaining trust with all his acting skills, Atian even targeted his grandma's last pension. He showed his girlfriend's photo to her, lying he needed money to get married after graduation. The grandma happily gave him her bank card, but he greedily stole her jade bracelet too. Atian hated his useless self. His grandma had left all her life savings to him. Yet, instead of repenting for gambling and stealing, he silently resolved to win it all back in the next bet. At home, he forced his mother by hunger strike, even locking her in the room while she cared for him.
我要我手机。
哎呀，你不要这样，你是
我要我手机啊！
你是要情侣还可以
还我手机啊！我手机在哪？
再包先生，
包你哪里有呢？
我不能给你的。
你说什么？
你干什么？你不能这样！
你说什么？
你是不是放下
给我啊！
He threatened his mother with sharp glass, vowing suicide unless she gave the safe's password. His eyes, once youthful, now held only desire and greed. He opened the safe, taking the phone, cash, and even the house deed. He sold his parents' house for $8 million, resolving to make one last desperate bet. Going to Anna for inside info, he found the park's bloodsuckers ready to drain him. Anna said she'd switched to investment and offered to take him along.
看我可不可以带他进必缺的。
吊一下胃口吧，跟他说门槛高，不要贪心，玩点小的就行。他现在资金不够上来。
But Atian was dead set on playing along with Anna, determined to see it through. Manager Lu had Anna call him, and Atian immediately invested all $8 million into their pre-designed website.
你看看，周五闭市的时候才8000多道，现在突破1万多道了。
But this fake upward trend was just a smokescreen to keep him hooked. Seeing Atian on the verge of madness, his roommate told his girlfriend to bring his parents quickly. Meanwhile, manager Lu gave the motorcade countless bank cards, ordering them to suspend activities and withdraw cash ASAP. The large overseas transfers drew police attention, but the sheer number of cards overwhelmed their control. Before police could act, all withdrawals were done. When Atian messaged again, only a shocking red exclamation mark replied. That fake upward trend was just a smokescreen to keep him hooked. When Atian saw his roommate's message, the only reply was that shocking red exclamation mark. His girlfriend arrived, but Atian shut the door. No matter how she shouted, hoarse with desperation, he stayed trapped in agony. He walked to the balcony. His roommate opened the door, but in the next second, Atian's parents, gasping up the stairs, watched their son plummet before them. In his prime, Atian had just started an internship, with a handsome look and a well-off family. But when that jade bracelet and the $8 million vanished, his life crumbled. The shattered red exclamation mark ended all his youth, hopes, and everything. Left were his grief-stricken parents in their 50s and a girlfriend unable to love again. That wrong first step, driven by greed and unwillingness, turned into a family's lifelong nightmare. The red exclamation mark wasn't just a message failure. It was the tombstone of his lost life. Amidst clinking glasses, they celebrated their gains built on shattered families. With a big order secured and Pan Sheng's birthday near, manager Lu held a banquet. The cake, made of cash, showed how trivial money was here. When they toasted,
你怎么知道今天是我生日？
当然知道啊，有护照的嘛，所有人我都知道。
真的假的？
当然是假的嘛，这么多人我还能都记得啊？一样，最不一样了。我们赚那些傻子的钱，养活这些兄弟，养活他们背后一个个家庭。是那帮人贪，不是我们还。
That rhetoric made newcomers feel home. As their humanity faded, a brute courage flared. Lu lured them with fine words and money, binding them to stay. But the cash earned with their lives was never to be spent by them. When Anna checked, only that red exclamation mark stared back. Anna completed $5 million performance as required.
其实你还有别的选择。
什么选择？
嫁给我。
Those blinded by greed and desire won't let a cash cow slip away. Manager Lu ordered Anna to stay and hit a $20 million performance target. By then, she saw clearly she'd never escape this bottomless abyss, whether for $5 million or $20 million. At that critical moment, Pan Sheng knocked on the glass, agreeing to stay and keep cooperating. Only then did Anna escape the scam. Pan Sheng showed off his designed program to Manager Lu, suggesting using robots instead of human customer service to cut costs.
人工狗推效率太慢了，你养着它们也是浪费，我把它们都放了。
Pan Sheng, after his contribution, got a promotion and raise, moving to a better room. Spotting a pen on the table, he took out his hidden cash and hatched a new plan. He slipped a distress note with cash to Anna during the group outing, ostensibly photos and check-ins to feign safety. At dinner, Anna tried paying in dollars, but the cashier refused. Her distress caught Akai's attention, who stepped in to help. The outing was just photo-taking and check-ins, all to send to family and friends, faking safety. At dinner, Anna tried paying at the cashier, who refused US dollars. She showed the cash's distress message, catching Akai's eye. As she was knocked over by a passerby, Akai stepped in to help.
冇使喎你哋講。
Pan Sheng quickly took back the cash, and the plan had to be put on hold for the time being. Back at the park, Manager Lu disbanded the human customer service team, ordering everyone to pack up and return home collectively. Pan Sheng's program had rescued some brothers, but as the group got in the car, Manager Lu made it clear this was no freedom, they were being sold at a high price to the neighboring park. En route, Akai, tasked with relaying dog promoters' messages, tried to get off to buy goods but had no cash. After rummaging, he found a banknote with a distress message, but when he paid, the shop assistant said nothing more.
Mister? 주시렁시테 만나게 간보.
Banks refused money with writing. Recalling the day's events, Akai sensed something wrong, rushed back to the park, and reported it. Furious, Manager Lu halted work for an emergency meeting. But I caught the scent of the drink spilled on that banknote earlier.
到底是谁想要毁掉这里？
Manager Lu ordered the gates opened, telling everyone they could choose to stay or leave, but no one moved.
走啊！在这一直骗别人有什么意义呢？
你要不要走？
我要走啊！我要自由。
你他妈离开这儿你就自由了啊！3，
走啊，走啊！我们不都是被骗过来的吗？现在在这骗别人。
2、1，关门。
To punish them, Akai drove a toothpick into Anna's fingernail. The man who'd helped pass the message had a screw cruelly driven into his forehead. Pan Sheng, too, got his due punishment. Manager Lu then summoned the man who'd entered the park around the same time as Pan Sheng.
打断他的腿，用点力啊！兄弟，对不起，你可以吗？
As the wooden stick snapped, Pan Sheng went limp, leaving only the man in the middle still struggling. On the way back to the dorm, Anna, unable to bear the inhumane treatment any longer, rolled down the car window and jumped out. Summoning all her strength to shake off pursuers, she finally reached the police station and reported the case to the on-duty officer. As the police moved to seal off the gate, a icy realization shot through Anna, and even the police were in league with them. There was no escaping this sprawling organization. It wasn't long before Akai arrived at the police station to collect her, but instead of taking her back to the park, he bound her tightly, dragged her to the harbor, and stuffed her into a burlap sack. He weighted it down with stones, then with a brutal heave, sent the sack plummeting into the churning sea. Akai pulled out his phone, recording the whole thing as proof to report back to Manager Lu. Meanwhile, Anna, trapped in the suffocating darkness of the sack, was swallowed by the vast, endless ocean. Anna, rescued, returns home and meets the police.
我是显江市公安局的，我们是来帮你的。
A few days earlier, Atian's girlfriend noticed Anna in a small ad was the fraud gang's customer service and reported it. Police monitored Anna, taken to an anti-fraud event, Anna denied her park experience but nervously pulled back her fingers when Officer Hao tried to see them. At the meeting, defrauded people shared stories. Migrant workers in brush order scams, housewives in fake Mark 6, others in online schemes or fake stocks. Phones ease daily life but enable fraud, leaving countless victims separated from families, homes ruined, and generational savings gone in an instant. After the event, Officer Hao took Anna to the hospital. Atian, who jumped from a building, was rescued but comatose. Anna didn't recognize him. Pan Sheng had chatted with him online. Yet shamed by Atian's girlfriend's accusations, she squatted down. Officer Hao showed Pan Sheng's ID, urging her to help save families. Seeing their pain, Anna overcame fear and agreed to assist the police in solving the case in Jiangmen. Police found money laundering workshops in local dens and intercepted accomplices moving funds. But the park was empty when they arrived. The raid disrupted local businesses, sparking an angry crowd that blocked police vehicles, throwing stones, torches, and gasoline-filled wine bottles, even smashing windows to attack. Local police arrived but couldn't contain the large riot, leading to a road standoff and fight. Luckily, residents' landlords intervened, managing to safely take the officers away. After days of fruitless investigation and with visas expiring, Local police refused further support, stripping them of law enforcement powers. Officer Hao prepared to return to China with his team until Pan Sheng's friend called. During the safety-proof team building, Pan Sheng repeatedly made a 6 gesture to the camera. As a fellow programmer, his friend knew 6 in binary is 110, the emergency number, and all messages included 6. With this clue, Officer Hao rushed back. Local police helped find an elementary school with area code 666. Further checks revealed beer bottles in a nearby dump and many takeout orders to the gymnasium. The den was in the school, with students as hostages. Ensuring the children's safety became the top priority. But Officer Hao had a plan involving the takeout. He contacted the fraudsters' go-to-tea restaurant, slipped a hidden message into the order, and had it delivered to Pan Sheng. When Pan Sheng bit into the bread, he found the clue. He dragged an iron cage over, climbed atop it, lit a badminton shuttlecock, and held the frame up to the smoke alarm. Soon, Manager Lu's side blared with the fire alarm. The teacher rushed to evacuate students, while office programmers looked confused. Police, disguised as firefighters, arrived quickly. Using Anna's employee fingerprint, they got through the gate. On surveillance, Manager Lu saw this and realized Akai hadn't killed Anna as ordered. With no time to dwell, he rushed to open the safe to flee, but unexpectedly,
把接口删掉，被老鼠看到饶不了你。
in fact, Manager Lu was merely a pawn in others' hands. Years of fraternal TIs led him to choose to protect Akai. He destroyed the computer data at once and ordered everyone to follow suit.
警察来了，砸呀！
Everyone frantically smashed the computers as if they'd never been tricked into coming here. In that moment, He's fellow accomplices were all terrified of being caught. Manager Luke, though, walked alone toward the equipment room to find Pan Shen.
帮我一个忙好不好？把乐婷带到宣州，去他妈那里。
你应该找警察帮你。
我他妈不相信警察，我信你呀！现在戴罪立功，所有人里面你判的最轻，我搞不好会死在这里。我要他活下去，地址。
你为什么不放大家走？
老子也要立功啊！
The police swiftly broke down the door and surrounded everyone. Gazing at the destroyed data devices on the ground, Officer Hao once more lost the trail to the top leader.
把手机给我。
站住！把孩子放开。
移动口令就在他手机里，是唯一可以访问服务器的终端。我记得收留了后门，受害者名单都在里面。
Police gunshots shattered the gym's brief silence, plunging it back into chaos. Panic consumed everyone, and Akai died in that foreign land. With heavy police reinforcements, the criminals had no escape. At last, amid lingering smoke, the absurd gang was rounded up. Before being led away, she locked eyes with her daughter Terry, helpless, terrified. Did she repent then? But what could repentance change? Just as he knelt daily to worship Buddha, wasn't he merely honoring his own desires? That slogan he chanted ritualistically each day.
想成功，先发疯，
不顾一切向前冲，
拼一次富三代，
拼命才能不失败。
Desire corroded their minds, warping thought and perception. He claimed, "We take from fools to support brothers, they're greedy, not us." These empty words whitewashed their guilt, yet temptation hides traps, fear breeds despair. No free pies fall, only sudden ruin. Uncle hoped his child would save the day, never seeing stopping in time is true victory. After all, they fear not your wins, but your refusal to play. One thought leads to heaven or hell. Greed and unwillingness can easily destroy a person. Life is not something you get for nothing. That will only make you a manipulated puppet. Confession in the abyss of desire.
放工，放手，硬。
See you in the next video.